think that I will start off with basically an introduction to why I am here right now in Tokyo, how I'm here in Tokyo, what I'm doing, and kind of some basic general knowledge about this Frokyo persona that you may or may not know anything about. First off, I am 19 years old. I will be turning 20 this year in like 4 months, I think. Pretty sure, something like that. So that's hype. I am from the US of A. Specifically, I consider myself to be from the Atlanta area. My family does not live there anymore, so I don't actually like go back to Atlanta at the moment. But that's where I spent like my middle and high school years. Aside from that, Japan. Why do I live in Japan? I mean, the simplest reason. I go to school here. I go to college here at Temple University. It's based here in Tokyo. It's an American school, a branch of the Philadelphia Temple University. So all of my classes are in English. My major is art. It's just like a general art thingy, but for me personally, I really focus on photography, drawing, and painting. Those are my favorite things. I kind of like have to experiment with other things. I have to take classes and other things, but I would say like my basis in art is in drawing and painting, and then more recently in the last, I guess like 4 or 5 years, I started to experiment with digital photography, and I really enjoyed that and tried to take my work further in that area. So as far as why I chose to go to an American school in Japan, really, I did not want to come to Japan, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not the kind of person where I like always been dreaming of moving to Japan. I feel like a lot of people, they're like, oh, I always wanted to come here. Like, I always loved, like, I don't know, anime or something, or I just was really like obsessed with learning about Japan my whole life. No. No. I was interested in Japan when I was in high school, kind of like vaguely. I was like, oh, Tokyo would be a cool place to go someday. Yeah, I'd like to visit that place. So why Japan then? It was more so that I wanted to go abroad than I wanted to come to Japan specifically. I did, but like, I was also open to going to other places, and I applied to schools. I applied to one school in the UK, right? I think it was the UK. I can't even remember now. But it was not like my goal to come to Japan. And when I was applying to colleges, this kind of came up after the fact, like after I'd applied to my main list of schools, which I'd been like making in advance. I had this discussion with my parents where I asked if they would be open to allowing me to go to school full-time abroad, and they said sure, as long as it's not too expensive. So that is how I started researching schools in other countries, and that is how I found Temple Japan, because I was like, hey, Japan's kind of cool, maybe I would want to go to school there. And I was like, oh, look at this, there's an American school in Japan. That's pretty cool. And why I chose to go to an American school is because, like I said, I didn't even know if I was gonna stay in Japan after I finished school. I didn't really like have like a big plan per se. I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna go hang out for 4 years, get like some new life experiences, and I don't know, maybe go back to the US, maybe move to some other random country, just see where life takes me. So I was kind of thinking I wanted to be in a familiar school system, because I've been preparing my whole life to be part of the American school system. so I didn't really feel like having to deal with like trying to like convert to a whole different system and having to like, I don't know, convert my like transcripts or like whatever and doing extra work, having to take extra tests maybe. I just wanted to go into like what I already knew. And also I did not speak Japanese when I came here, so that was why I couldn't go to a Japanese school. I eventually decided that I was going to apply to TUJ, Temple Japan, and just see what happened there. I got in. I also got into several other schools. Temple Japan was not my first choice. If it were a school, if this school were like a school in the US, like if it weren't for the fact that the school was in Japan, I would not go to this school, if it makes sense. Like if it was the exact same like structure, campus, whatever, in another city, I would absolutely not go here. Maybe that makes it sound bad. Not to say that it's bad or that I don't like it, but it would not have been my choice. Like the deciding factor of the school was the fact that it was in Japan, and I figured that would be an experience that like you can't like replace that. You can't replace the experience of living abroad for several years, or like, and I didn't know where it was going to take me. I was like, maybe I'll just like live in Japan for the rest of my life. Maybe I don't know. So that was really exciting. So ultimately it came down to me wanting to try new things, go new places, and money. For reference, the schools that I applied to aside from here were very expensive. I did apply to 2 art schools, RISD and Pratt. I got into both. So RISD was one of my like top choice schools, but it's so expensive and I didn't qualify for need-based financial aid. So it's like what, like almost 70 grand a year to go there. And my parents are very supportive of me being an artist and an art major and everything, but they were like, that's a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, maybe try somewhere else. So RISD did not happen. I decided not to go to Pratt. I liked Pratt, but it was also expensive. I was offered the Presidential Merit Scholarship to Pratt, but it was also still like over 40K a year, which is better, definitely better, and probably better than most of the other schools that I got into, because I only applied to private schools except for one, or I guess TUJ counts as a public school, right? So 2. But it was a lot, and it also was not like my preferred school. I don't think I toured Pratt, so maybe it would be different if I had toured it or something, but I didn't feel as attached to it as like RISD, because I had like toured RISD and everything. So I also applied to like normal schools mostly. That was what most of my list is. I applied to, I don't know, like 10, 11 schools I think total. Got into some, didn't get into some. I think after I decided that I couldn't go to RISD, so I found out that I got into TUJ, and then at that point the only deciding factor was if I got into Brown, and I didn't get into Brown. And then after that I was just kind of looking at what I got into, and I was like, NYU's hella expensive, so I didn't go to NYU. I was waitlisted at Cornell, and I was like, I don't really feel like waiting around to see what happens. Just let that go. So at that point it's like I'm looking at everything and it's like too expensive, too expensive, too expensive. The only school that I got into that was like cheap was in-state, of course. The only in-state like public school I applied to, Georgia Tech. Did not want to go there. and I applied for environmental engineering, which I did not actually want to do. I am interested in environmental science, and that's why I chose that major. It was like the only like major they had that like I thought I would like. I don't know. I don't know. I only applied because my parents told me I had to apply to one in-state school. So I applied and I got in, and I was like, oh great, I got in. Now they might make me go, but they didn't. So TUJ tuition is surprisingly cheap relative to other American universities. Its tuition is a little under 8,000 US dollars a semester, which to some people is a lot. To an American, for me, not even. So I mean, your tuition, that comes to about 16 grand a year, and then of course you have to also be able to cover your living expenses for the entire year. So that depends on your lifestyle, I suppose, but definitely a lot cheaper than NYU or RISD. So when I was looking at comparing the cost and thinking about, you know what, moving to Japan seems kind of fun, kind of, I don't know, like I want to change it up, I want to go somewhere. So, and I mean, expense wise, it was looking like tech or TUJ. I was like, I know I don't want to go to tech at all, so maybe we'll just hop on over to another country, because why not? That's basically why I moved to Japan. Why not? So, of course, since I go to school here, I have a student visa. So that is why I'm able to stay in the country. It has certain requirements. I have to be a full-time student at my school in order to be here. So that means like my school has 3 semesters, spring, fall, summer. So if you take summer semester off, for example, you could decide you're not gonna do school during the summer, which is what I did last year. That means you're not considered a full-time student during that semester, and you're supposed to go back to your home country if you're an international student. I can keep renewing this visa as long as I'm taking classes. I plan on graduating next spring, so I will have spent a total of 3 years in college, graduating a year early. Hype for that. Thank you, AP classes. My advice to high school kids, if you can take APs, do it. Take those APs. Take APs and go to a college that accepts them as credit, as college credit. Saves you money. Saves you tuition money. Saves you time in a boring school. I got out of taking some classes because of my AP scores. Like, do that. Take them. I know they suck and they're like miserable and like awful, but like, they're so good. In the end, it was worth it because I'm getting out of school a year early. In order to get a student visa, pretty simple. All you have to do is go to a school here in Japan that grants visas and be a full-time student at that school. Keep taking classes, keep doing well in your classes, and bam, student visa. You're able to stay in Japan as long as you're in school. Some people also ask me how I have money or like what my job is. Honestly, my job is to be a good student and get out of school faster. I do have a job now, actually a part-time job. My part-time job is modeling. I work for, I'm signed by, whatever the terminology is, I guess I'm signed by, work for an agency here called Freewave. You can look it up. You can see my pictures on their website also if you decide to look them up. But that is what I do. As far as what kind of modeling I do, it's not very interesting and it's not very fun. Like when I say I'm a model, people like think that it's like this really like fun and exciting thing, at least right now for me. I mean, I started last November, so it hasn't been that long and I haven't been able to work for a while now thanks to coronavirus. So I'm pretty sad because I wanted to like get more experience and do more jobs and get money, but hopefully soon I can go back to work. Anyway, my modeling job, people assume that because I'm like this person, Harajuku fashion, I don't know, alternative guy thing, that I do like really fun or like alternative looks for my job, and maybe I'm just like at the wrong place to do that. I think that's part of it. Well, yeah, I am at the wrong place to do that, but I don't. I really don't. I do really like normie, like ads, corporate ads, commercials sometimes, like online commercials. I mean, I did one TV commercial, but I can't talk about the details of that right now. What else did I do? I did that sock shoot. That was fun. That one was fun. Yeah. That's not to say that I don't like my job. I think it is great. I really enjoy modeling. I'm really glad that I can be a model, and I'm glad that I was signed by this agency, all that. I'm not saying that I don't like my job, or like, I'm not trying to be like, oh my god, being a model is so awful. I'm just saying that it's not also, I don't want to give people the wrong idea about it and make it like more like hyped up than it is, because at least at the moment, it's, I mean, it's a job. It's money, so can't complain. So that is my job, my part-time. That does not like cover all my living expenses. That's just kind of like, I want to shop, I don't have shopping money, job. So the thing about modeling is, obviously you have to work around the schedule of the shoots. You can't, like, I can't just be like, oh, I want to work on this Saturday, so I'm only gonna work, like, no, they're like, okay, we have a shoot on this day, can you come to that? And I'm like, I have school, I have a test. So I don't get to make very much money or do as many jobs, mainly because my schedule is very limited since I have to go to school. You know, that whole trying to graduate early thing, that doesn't leave a lot of room for modeling. Because modeling, you have to be there the whole day, basically. You have to have your schedule open for the entire day that they're trying to do a shoot. And if I have class, I can't do that. Aside from that, my parents support me because they're really nice. And I'm a responsible child, and I do not spend my money on like random stuff. I don't know. Not my school money. My parents give me my school money basically, and that's my school money. You know, I get like it's almost like I get an allowance, like a really big allowance, except it's not really like an allowance because it goes towards my food, my bills, my rent. So if I go, if I'm like, oh, why don't I just go buy like some like Gucci stuff or something? Oh, looks like I'm not eating this semester. Yeah, so basically I get money at the beginning of each semester, and it's mine to determine what to do with it, but I have to use it wisely, right? And it's like enough to cover tuition and then like living expenses. I calculate how much I will need for living expenses. I track my living expenses and stuff, and then I determine, I'm like, okay, I will need like, I don't know, 15,000 for the whole semester, or like 12,000, whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, that's your amount. So that's been working out pretty well. I've not had any financial disasters. Yeah. I don't know. People have this like idea that I like buy clothes all the time. No. I wish. That would be nice. Anything else? Why I'm in Japan? How I'm in Japan? I guess I can talk about my plan for the future, which is that I don't have one. I will say that I would like to stay in Japan. I'm not gonna like die if I have to leave or if I go somewhere else, because that's the thing, I'm open to going to other places if that's what happens. But I would say that my plan would be to stay in Japan if I'm able to do that. Obviously that means that I will have to obtain another visa status. I've thought about going to language school. I'm trying to study Japanese now on my own because I do not have the space to take Japanese classes in school anymore. I took 1 year of Japanese in school, but I don't have the space if I want to graduate on my schedule, which I do because I don't want to have to keep paying tuition at this school. It's a lot. So I'm thinking that I would rather go to like language school. That's something my understanding is language school is generally a bit cheaper than American university tuition, or you can find some that is. So to me it makes more sense to just wait until after I finish this program, my undergrad, and then if my self-study fails, which it might because I'm not a very disciplined person, I'm gonna try to think good thoughts, will it into existence. So far I've been doing a decent job, but if not, I think, and what I've talked to my parents about is doing a language school program, just like throw myself into language learning boot camp, because I haven't really had the time, honestly, to just like devote myself to learning Japanese. So that's actually why it's been good that we're like in quarantine and now I'm on a break from school. So that's why I'm trying to like really get into like a good habit of studying while I have free time. But failing that, I will do Japanese language program. I'm thinking that I'll probably still need to do one after I finish, what am I saying? After I finish this, but I don't know. I'm trying to get it down, like get the amount of time that I need to spend it. Because originally I was thinking like a year, probably, because my Japanese level is baby, baby. But if we can get it down to like 6 months or even less, that'd be awesome. Just something, I want to get to the point where I just have to like sharpen my skills or like expand a little bit. Obviously, I'm getting away from that. What I actually want to do is of course be an artist. That's why I'm an art major. Pretty open to different kinds of arts, different professions. With that, I don't feel like I have to do like one thing necessarily. If I'm a photographer, awesome, that seems really cool. If I'm an illustrator, cool, like I'm not gonna be mad. I just want to be in a creative profession, really. So wherever that takes me, if I can do that, hence wanting to get my Japanese up, because I probably won't have very many options in that field. Getting a visa sponsorship here, working full-time, yada yada yada, if I can't speak decent Japanese. So anything else? Why I came to Japan? I guess I'll add that I've been here for 2 years now. I don't know if I mentioned that. Going on 2 years. So that's crazy. Can't believe that it's already been that long. Yeah. In conclusion, Japan is cool. I am glad that I decided to come here, even though it wasn't my first choice. Yeah, wanna stay here, wanna keep living that life. That's about it. Hydration. Essential.